everyone, I'm Lori Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm here with Michael, my son. I've been talking about my experiences being the mom of a trans child. So why not hear from Michael himself and let Michael talk a little bit about how things are going and how he's feeling. So thank you for being here.
Of course. Hey guys, Michael, she just said it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get interviewed.
Yep. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions. Most important question, tell me about yourself.
I'm an actor. I do martial arts. I play basketball. I recently got a gaming computer, so I game, I guess. I have a big family I love hanging out with. Me and my cousin are like best friends and stuff, so that's cool.
Yeah. Very good. So sometimes, just so you know, Michael and I will check in with each other because I tend to interrupt a lot. So I'm trying to learn to wait. So I'm going to wait for him to sort of signal that he's ready for me to talk. And you can always tell me when you're ready for me to talk to you, but we'll work on that because I don't want to interrupt Michael at all. But basically, typically, you're a typical 12-year-old, normal 12-year-old kid with all the things that you love to do. So that was my first question. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So my next question, Michael, is do you feel pressure to talk about your gender?
No, not at all.
Okay. So you're comfortable.
Yeah,
you're
extremely
ready.
comfortable.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You want
I'm
it to
proud
be
about
here?
it. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I like hearing that. You should be proud. Very proud. Michael has shown so much strength over the years. I have talked about that a little bit. I'm going to talk a lot more about that. But you can see he's confident and he's strong and he's comfortable. So good question. All right, Michael. People think parents of trans kids are pushing transition on their child. Like it's kind of like, maybe I wanted a son, or maybe I thought this would get me some kind of attention. So do you think that in some way parents are pushing this on their kids, or in your experience, do you feel like it's been pushed on you?
Definitely not pushed on me. Definitely. Like, it's kind of the opposite. Like, I pushed it on you guys, kind of. I don't think people are doing that. I think it's, like my case, it's like people are pushing their parents, not them pushing them. But, of course, I don't know if there's families out there who do that, which there probably is, which is just wrong. But no, definitely not in my case.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. I think that it's, I think that there probably are cases maybe where a parent, looks at a child, like a little girl that plays with trucks and loves the mud and wants to wrestle all the time. And they think, oh, my kid is a boy, they're trans. And then maybe the parent does. But I think in so many situations, in so many cases, it's really the child who's saying, this is who I am. And then I feel like the parent has the choice of like, I'm going to do what you need and support you, or I'm not going to do what you need, or I'm not comfortable supporting you. It's almost like the child is presenting like, this is me, and then the parent is like, we're going to do this for you, or we're not, right? I mean, I think that's the majority. But of course, like you brought up a really good point, because we're not all the same. So every family is different. Every story is different. So I think that was a good way to say it. But I think like for you and for the kids that you've spoken to, I think, we can clearly say that this is not something that the parent wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Quite the opposite. I mean, it's a hard... it was a hard thing for me to get on board with, because I was really afraid of what would that mean to have a trans kid. Like, what would his life be like? So that was a huge piece of the hesitation for me and for Dad in supporting you. It took us forever to get on board and do what you needed. I know. So on another note, what would you do if you realized that you're really not trans? Like, what would happen in that case?
Which I really don't think that's ever going to happen. But if it did, I would just be honest with you. I'd tell you, and we would talk, and we'd figure things out.
Yeah, good. I appreciate that you know that, because that's 100% true. Like, I don't really care about your gender. I care about your happiness. I care about you being happy. So however you present to the world, however you feel, to me, that has nothing to do with this stuff that matters. You need to be loved and happy and safe and all of that. And that's so that's what I care about. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, you could detransition tomorrow. It would not be a drama or a problem. I know that you don't need that, you don't want that, but I think it's important for people to hear that, because actually, to be honest, a lot of the times when I talk in like social media and public groups and I say that I have a trans child, a lot of people throw that at me now that so many people are detransitioning. I don't know anybody who's detransitioned.
Me neither.
Yeah, like we have a lot of friends now in the trans community or people who are non-binary, and of all the people we know, I have not heard of anybody detransitioning.
Yeah.
But I know it does happen. I know there are people
course.
speaking about it, right? So if it happens, it's okay. It's completely okay.
But yeah.
Right. But I'm glad, I'm glad that you know that you can. Thank you. All right. This might be a harder one to talk about, but do you think that being transgender is like a cool thing? It makes you popular, it gets you like good attention?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes, but I really don't think that. It's doing that to get like attention is really like disrespectful. Also, I know a lot of people who don't want attention and they're trans, so it's like it's kind of weird. Not weird, but like, you know, it's like it's just not something that should happen. Sometimes there are really cool, supportive people out there that are going to be friends with you because of it, but I don't think that a reason to transition is because you are like lonely or like want to be popular, because that's not how it goes.
Yeah. I think, I'm sorry. Are you done?
No, I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, I thought you meant like with the video, like
can I? Okay. So I was just going to say, sorry about that, but
no, I'm sorry.
You're good. I was just going to say, I think for you, like a couple of things here was, number one, you said that you were a boy when you were like 2.5 years old, and you kept saying it. So
basically,
you knew
when
nothing.
I could talk.
Yeah, as soon as you could express it, honestly, like as soon as you had the words to say it, and as soon as we started talking about like daddy's a man, mommy's a woman, I think right off the bat, you just knew who you were. You didn't have any exposure to like trans people, and you didn't.
No clue.
Right, we didn't talk about it. Actually, the first time that I told you the word transgender was the night that you were like, you stood up at the dinner table and you were just like, I hate myself. I want to kill myself. I'm not living like this anymore. Actually, I think it was like a few days later after I had gone to that support group and figured things out, and you were like, I said, there's a name for how you feel. And you were like, there is.
I remember that.
You do remember? And I said, it's called transgender. And your face was like, what? Like you thought you were alone. So you had no motivation as a 2.5-year-old or 3-year-old or 4-year-old or 5-year-old to be saying I'm a boy to get attention or it was a struggle for you for a lot of years when we didn't support you. And I talked about that in some of my other videos, that we didn't do the right thing for a very long time. And so for people to say like it's trendy and it's cool and it's this and that, like,
I mean, it is cool. It's like, be proud of it, but it's not like go and, go and like just be like, I'm trans now because I want to be cool. It's like,
right. Like, go. I'm sorry.
It's uncool.
Yeah, like what's cool about you is like your bravery and your strength. And when I do meet a transgender person, I do get a feeling of like, wow, like you know who you are, and you're living that life that you're kind of going against a lot of people, I think, in your life that are going to give you a hard time or maybe not support you. To me, when I meet trans people, I do think they're cool. I think that's a strength. I think it's a beautiful thing. Like when I have adult friends who transition, at our age, and I think it's so beautiful watching them become who they are. And so yes, it's cool. But with your peers and in school and in the public eye, like you're getting judgment and you're getting people that don't understand it or get upset about it. And yes, you're probably meeting so many cool people because of it too. So there's good and bad sides to it, but I don't think there's anybody that would go through what you've been through to be cool, right? And yeah, like you said, there's definitely kids that don't want the world to know they're trans. They just want to be who they are, and they're not trying to like get attention for it. And what I think happens is the way that things are going on in social media, the way that politicians are talking about this stuff, and all the misinformation, and quite honestly, a lot of hate that's out there. I think it's making it so much harder for people to just express who they are or to talk about being transgender. But I think that's really why it's important to keep going and to keep talking about it. So the fact that you're here sharing, it means a lot to me, because I think people should hear from you and not just me, since, you know, you are kind of central to this whole experience. So thank you for that. All right, I have two more questions. And then, you know, if there's anything else you want to talk about, we can. But what would you say is the biggest challenge that you have faced because of your gender?
Dysphoria.
Yeah. Do you mind explaining, or do you want me to explain what that is to people?
It's basically when you feel uncomfortable with your body and want it to be something different.
Yeah. And not every trans person has dysphoria.
No.
And not every trans person has dysphoria all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel it stronger than, like, sometimes
Yeah.
than other times?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's another thing that I'm glad you brought that up. So dysphoria is, you know, it's real and it's valid, and it's, you know, it's a very strong feeling, and a lot of people equate dysphoria with, like, you know, they think that, like, every trans person feels it 24 hours a day, and I don't think that that's true for every person, and you don't have to have dysphoria to be transgender. But I am sorry that you struggle with that. I'm sorry that that is something I think that you have always kind of felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope that you feel maybe there are tools that you can put in place to kind of help you cope in those moments when you're feeling that way, or those days that you're feeling that way. Yeah, and I'm sure there's certain situations that bring it, like, more to the front of what you're feeling too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
You're so brave. Last question. Like, if you could explain to people who don't understand, like, how did you know that you are a boy? And maybe you don't remember because you were two, but.
It's not really something that I figured out. It was more of, like, this is just who I am, and as soon as I could speak, it's like my whole life I just knew it. But as soon as I could speak, it was just, that's when it came out. It wasn't like I ever figured it out. It was like, obviously when I was born, I had, like, my brain wasn't even there. It was like, you didn't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just, as soon as I was able to, like, just speak and actually, like, function.
Yeah, you said it right away.
I said it, yeah. It was never a point in my life. Like, I didn't live being, like, a girl. Like, I didn't live it. Like, it just, I don't know. It's like I didn't live it for, like, years and years to just the point where I just discovered, like, how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
It just,
you've always just been Michael. Like,
Yeah.
you've always just been yourself. And I think you know, you were so little, and the fact that, like, you kept being brave enough to share that with me, I think that's incredible. I'm so glad that you never gave up. I did talk about it a few times, how many years it took for Dad and I to support you and to say, like, okay, we're going to figure this out, and actually get, like, the right information and do what you needed. And there are definitely people who do figure it out later in life. There's people who are unsure or always feel something. But I think for you, I'm lucky because I didn't have to doubt it really, truly. Like, we were like, how could you know when you're so little? But looking back, I'm like, you just know who you are, right? And there's no point, like, I'm cisgender. There's no point in my life where I was like, am I a girl? Or, you know, maybe I'm not. It's just, I was who I was, and people saw me that way. So I was treated that way, and, you know, like, it just kind of was easy to just, my body and my gender matched up. So I was, you know, I didn't have to figure it out. You didn't have to figure it out. You were just yourself. Yeah. And I think that that's really, really important, you know? I think, I love that you're here talking about it. I love that you're open about it. I do think that you have changed a lot of people's lives. I've heard feedback from people through social media, people, like, after meeting you, after talking to you, you know, I have a huge amount of respect for you and appreciation for you. And after that wonderful statement, we are going to be getting a lot of people that are going to have negative things to say and hurtful things to say. How do you cope with that? How do you deal with it?
It's honestly their problem, not mine. they're gonna be that way. Why do I have to deal with it?
Yeah. No, that's perfect. I mean, I feel the same way. It's if you want to hate, hate me, not him. He's an awesome little kid. But
don't hate either of us. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, I guess I just feel like that's sort of how you've lived your entire life. Like if somebody is going to judge you, obviously they don't know you and they're deciding that about something that they don't know very much about. But I think it's so important, and I hope that you'll come back and talk more with me because
Of course.
thank you so much, because I think
Yeah.
it's best that they're hearing from you, right? Like I can talk about parenting and I can talk about what my perspective is, but your voice is the voice that truly matters here. And the more people hear your story, the more people listen to what you have to say, I do think that you will help a lot of people. So thank you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
You're so good. You're such a good kid. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.